Hi, I'm Elaine. This is Elaine is XYZ, a vlog that's currently about the wonderful places to winter in Western Japan. So, the times we live in, huh? The rest of the world seems to be going into the kind of mess that China was in 2 months ago, and meanwhile China itself is starting to re-emerge, including me in China. My legally mandated lockdown has already ended, and I've already gone out into the streets of Shanghai, tentatively mask on, constantly washing my hands. But though there's a lot that I could talk about regarding China shedding off this COVID mess, kinda sorta, I'm gonna save that for another time, because before I work on that, I really wanted to do a recap of my time in Japan. Actually, I'd lived kind of a lifelong dream for the last 3 months. I'd studied Japanese in college, but then when it came time to work, I decided to stay in New York. And then when the opportunity came to move to Asia, I ended up choosing Shanghai instead. And over the last decade, a part of me had always wondered what it would have been like if I had chosen this other path. Well, I took my chance. I packed my bags, headed to Osaka, and basically spent all of winter in the West Japan region, studying Japanese and taking advantage of the amazing rail system to day/weekend trip all over the place. I think I ended up going to something like 20 different cities and towns throughout these months, which is not bad. I didn't think I was keeping busy, but I guess I kinda was. But to make this useful and not just talky-talky at the camera, I figured I would give my recommendations of 3 places that were wonderful to visit in winter in West Japan. Because actually, winter's kind of a weird season touristically. This area is too warm to get the gorgeous snowscapes of places more north, such as Hokkaido or even Nagoya. And at the same time, it's more known for its momiji and hanami seasons. Basically, the gorgeous reds of fall and the very pretty pinks of spring that most people would recommend, rightly so, that you would go here during those times. And some places really rely on those colors for their charm, like Kyoto, for instance. No offense to all the people who love Kyoto, but I gave it 3 tries during the winter time, and each time it was just not my favorite. Wintertime in Kyoto is kind of like seeing something slightly less pretty, but also still crowded, even with the decrease in tourism thanks to the global shutdown. So where would I recommend going instead, assuming that you somehow found yourself in the Kansai region between December and March, and you're looking for something that wouldn't have vastly benefited from being in a different season? Watch on to find out. Located on the eastern coast of the Mie Prefecture, about a 2-hour ride from Osaka if you use the Kintetsu Rail, Issei's main temple, Issei Jingu, is considered the soul of Japan, and a prime place to go for Hatsumode, the traditional first Shinto shrine visit of the year. In fact, depending on when you go, you might even run into some royalty. Princess Nori, the sister of Japan's current Emperor Naruhito, is Issei's highest shrine priestess, and she visits often enough for me to have randomly caught a glimpse of her when I went. Issei Jingu, which is actually 2 big shrines, Naiku and Geku, and about 123 smaller additional shrines, is dedicated to Amaterasu Omikami, the goddess of the sun and universe in charge of keeping harmony within the earthly realm. Legend has it that she bequeathed the first ruler of Japan a mirror, a jewel, and a sword, which are now the 3 imperial regalia. And apparently the mirror is still somewhere in Issei Jingu. Maybe. But what makes this place an especially wonderful day trip, even if you aren't like spiritually interested in Shinto, is the street right outside of Naiku, the inner shrine. That's called Oharai Machi, a 1-kilometer pilgrimage path that contains businesses that have been there for centuries. Besides being really beautiful to look at, the buildings are all modeled after the Edo and Meiji period. It had some of the best food I had the entire time I was in Japan. Seriously though, there's one dish in Japan that I'm still dreaming about, and it's this, the famous Issei udon at Fukusuke. This udon has been eaten since the 1600s and was made especially light and fluffy to comfort the stomachs of tired pilgrims. My next selection on this list is Hiroshima, the main city of Hiroshima Prefecture. We Americans probably know it best for, well, what we did to it. But actually, the fact that the city is still so focused on it is one of the reasons why it has a particular specialness in winter. One of its most famous buildings is the Atomic Bomb Dome, a European-style landmark that managed to not be completely leveled by the little boy. It now stands as a raw example of the destructive power of nuclear weapons, and to be honest, it works best when it's combined with a stark landscape of winter. Cooler temperatures also complement the brutalist architecture of the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, which documents life in the city before and in the years after the bombing. It's incredibly affecting. Whether or not you believe the USA was right to end the war this way, it's a reminder that behind war hawks on any side are millions of civilians just trying to live. Anyway, I highly recommend it as a sight to see and to reflect on. And Hiroshima is actually a great city to base yourself in for other wintertime activities. Not only are most of the city attractions good for all seasons, Hiroshima is just a bus ride away from quite a number of ski resorts. Plus, winter is prime time for oysters. In fact, very few people visit Hiroshima City without also going to Miyajima Island, famous for its beautiful shrine on the water. Unfortunately, that shrine is under construction right now, but even with the pandemic delaying things, it should be fixed by wintertime next year, so put it on your bucket list. In any case, the complex it's attached to is still beautiful without the need of nearby trees and leaves, and oh my god, the oysters. Have them raw, have them in curry, have them on your Hiroshima-style okonomiyaki. They're fantastic this fresh. And finally, my last contender for a wonderful winter find, Kurashiki in Okayama Prefecture. You'll go into Okayama City to get there, but pre-sakura hanami time, there didn't seem to be much to see in Okayama City besides, I guess, the castle. They have one of the most famous gardens in Japan, Korakuen, but to be honest, it was a little underwhelming. But I'm not here to crap on Okayama, because just a short train ride away is this gem, Kurashiki, which has basically all the best of what Okayama Prefecture has to offer, but consolidated into this charming, architecturally interesting neighborhood called the Bikan Historical District. Beautiful landscapes. The canal area, which is lined with willow trees and beautifully preserved kominka, Japanese white-walled pre-war houses, gives Kyoto's Gion district a run for its money. And with canal boatsmen and swans, it has some scenic fun to offer no matter the season. Momotaro. The Peach Boy is a legendary tale in Japanese literary history. As known to kids in Japan as well, I guess Jack and the Beanstalk would be known to us? Basically, an old couple prays for a kid, and soon they find a boy in a peach pit. Then the boy goes and fights ogres with a dog, a rooster, and a monkey. And Momotaro has got his own dedicated museum here in Kurashiki. The museum is a little weird. It's mostly like pop culture paraphernalia peppered with visual illusion games. But the staff are enthusiastic, and laughing along with them at magic mirror stuff is kind of adorable. Jeans. Also in Okayama is Kojima, a city dedicated completely to jeans. It was the first place jeans were manufactured in Japan, and is considered a jeans mecca. But I don't know if it was because of the pandemic or what, going to Kojima was like going to an industrial ghost town. Kurashiki manages to condense most of what Kojima had, and also give you a better deal in its one smaller Kurashiki jean street. I was able to find the same brands as in Kojima, get the famous Indigo soft serve, and I didn't need to take a separate JR train and walk 15 minutes through suburban nothingness to get to it. There's a lot more to discover in Kurashiki. In its several streets, it's got a bunch of art museums, crafts that would make good souvenirs, great food. By the way, Okayama is known for peaches and grapes. And it's all open and equally lovely in the wintertime. So another place that I visited in winter and absolutely loved was Nara. Needless to say, if you're around at the end of January, you should definitely check out the Wakakusa Yamayaki. It was absolutely stunning to watch an entire mountain get set on fire. But I've already done a video of that, so I'm going to link it above. You can watch that there. Japan is going through a rough spot right now, specifically. Probably because they were still holding out hope on hosting the Tokyo Olympics. They kind of implemented half measures to contain the pandemic while it was still a small number in their country. Like, they shut down schools but not workplaces. They shut down amusement parks and museums, but not bars and restaurants. They advised that everybody wear a mask and, use hand sanitizer, but they didn't talk at all about social distancing. And now, as we've seen in other countries, the numbers are jumping up day by day. And they face a battle that they were dragging their feet on in a country with one of the oldest populations in the world, one of the densest populations in the world, and in which, despite what you might think with Japan being a techie haven, is really, really poorly set up for any kind of digital telecommuting life. I hope that despite the late response to the virus, all my new friends in Japan are safe, and that way earlier than next winter, things will have gone back to normal and you can utilize these recommendations. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. You can find me off of YouTube on my website and Instagram, and see you next time doing whatever it is I'm doing.